I have a specific practice. Before anyone else arrives, I walk into a meeting room 20 minutes early. I do this to read the space before the people in it are asked to perform. What I am sensing is the field. It is the shared nervous system of the room, an invisible biological force that registers threat, welcome, and hierarchy before anyone opens their mouth to speak. Tension spikes when the field encounters a body it cannot classify. Take my own experience. I am a mixed-race Latina, but my skin is light, my English is unaccented, and I hold a doctorate. All of these traits combined produce a physical presence that the room struggles to file away. Look at this map. People often talk about privilege as a binary, as something you either have or you don't. But the actual architecture of power is better understood through a structural framework like the wheel of privilege and power. The spatial logic here is precise. The inner ring holds the identities the room was designed to accommodate, the default human. The middle ring represents conditional tolerance. You can stay, provided the room doesn't have to work too hard to include you. And the outer ring holds the identities that the field actively marginalizes. To understand how power operates, we have to map the exact multivariable social coordinates a person brings with them the moment they step through the door. These coordinates are not static. A person's position on that wheel shifts depending on the specific gravity of the cultural environment they enter. In a corporate boardroom, having a doctorate and speaking unaccented English locks into the inner ring, allowing frictionless movement. But in an interpersonal conflict, the field fixates on race and gender. These points snap outward, instantly reframing them as a threat. These intersecting identities do not add up like a simple math equation. They operate as an unpredictable alchemy. For the person living it, this creates a choppy somatic experience. They are pulled between the center and the margin by the room's demands. Intersectionality in practice is an active chemical compound that alters the physics and gravity of any room it enters. Navigating those shifting physics requires the double process. It is the mandatory cognitive labor of running two simultaneous tracks of attention in high-stakes environments. On the surface track, they manage the professional conversation, but on the depth track, they continuously monitor the room for structural safety and calculate micro-threats. This exposes the slanted line. When power is unequal, the horizontal axis tilts. Dominant bodies experience ease, accelerating down the slope. Marginalized bodies must fight intense friction, grinding against high resistance just to execute the same behavioral movement. Over a long career, this invisible labor extracts a biological tax. It depletes creative flow and spikes your cortisol, disrupting your sleep. This nervous system signature persists even when resumes look identical. Structural inequity is the price of access, paid in nervous system load. It is the physiological tax extracted from marginalized bodies just to stay in the room. This history of shifting lenses turns the marginalized body into a calibrated diagnostic instrument. The ability to rapidly switch lenses means they can read the slanted line in real time, detecting the microsecond a room's field warps to protect power. But any diagnostic instrument must also be turned inward. Look at this Johari window grid. In positions of structural power, the blind quadrant expands, protecting the leader from the exact feedback their colleagues cannot afford to give them. Sitting in the inner ring on wedges like class or education creates inevitable structural blind spots. These borders only retract and recalculate when you trust the data coming from people further out on the wheel. When an institution's leaders are protected from the information held in the room's hidden quadrants, the organization makes decisions based on an incomplete map. Representation is a requirement for seeing reality. Without it, the institution operates in a vacuum. The goal of equity work is the structural labor of identifying, confronting, and leveling slanted lines. Systemic change begins when you map your exact coordinates on the wheel, acknowledge your blind spots, and deploy your unique alchemy to alter the gravity of the room for everyone else.